Hello, Samuel here. Hello, hello, hello. So let's talk about allies. And let's talk about what happened to one ally. So now I know a lot of us don't believe in allies. Uh, we discount the value of allies. Uh, some of us say, okay, there's even no such thing as an ally. And for those of us who believe that there's allies, some of the drawbacks or some of the arguments against, most of these so-called allies, they try to monopolize whatever movement that they participate in. They try to control it, or in some cases, it's just our own laziness. We are allowing them to direct the movement. It's not always them. It's sometimes it's us. Being too passive. Uh there's arguments that allies are actually just agents. There's arguments that if you have some sort of movement with allies, then your rival movements or rival black activists, and there are activists with different worldviews, will accuse that rival of being somehow controlling you. So there's a lot of people who are doubtful of allies. My position is, there's 45 million of us. We're just looking at the United States. There's 45 million of us, right? There's 300 million other Americans. 300 minus 45 is what? What is that? 255? So I'm thinking that it's logical that it'll be helpful to have a few friends in that other 255 million other Americans, right? That's my position. And you have to also remember that Mr. Hardline himself, Malcolm X, when he started his career, was pretty much against hardliners. But then later on, as he evolved, he was for allies. There's the story where he was leaving a college campus, and a young woman walked up to him and asked him, okay, so what can I do to help the so-called Negro cause? And he basically told her nothing. Now, years later, he remembered that incident and said, "You know what? I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have told this young woman, there's nothing you can do." All right. So even the hardline of hardliners, Malcolm X, changed his worldview when it comes to allies. So I don't know how you describe or how you would put the qualifications of being a hardliner. I can go through that on another video, my own criteria. But I believe that however you do it, Chris Hedges would kind of make the cut. I really believe that. So let's talk about what happened to him. While we have all the Ukraine thing going on, and I haven't done a video yet about Ukraine, and I'm dreading that. I'm really dreading it. Now I'll tell you why I'm dreading doing a video on Ukraine. But actually, this video would tell you why I'm dreading it. So while we're busy focused on the Will Smack and Will Slap or whatever, and Ukraine, this is what happened to Chris Hedges. Chris Hedges had a show on RT, the RT channel. Now the RT channel is financed by Russia, and before any of us start, Russia is a Russian finance news channel. All the major countries have channels that they finance, international news channels. All right. So the United States has multiple news channels that they finance and radio stations that they finance across the world. Britain does. France does. I could go through the names, but I don't want to do this video. I want this video to be short. We do Britain, France, Germany has an international channel that they finance. I think it's called DW, right? Uh, who else? China. China has a international news channel that they finance. Even Qatari, which isn't a major power, but they finance Al Jazeera. So this is just common among the big so-called big power countries that they have some sort of soft power international news channel that they finance. So Russia has RT. When the war started, RT, of course, was banned. Okay. But this is what happened. Chris Hedges had a show on RT called On Contact. YouTube deleted his entire video catalog. No warning, no saying, okay, this particular video is violating community standards. No, they just deleted it. Doing all the noise over Will and Ukraine, they took the opportunity to limit space. All right, limit the space for dissent. All right, and here's a funny thing: you may say, okay, well, maybe he was pushing a pro-Russian narrative. No, Chris Hedges came out against the war, against Russia. In fact, when he would talk about Russia, although the channel was financed by Russia, he would be extremely critical of Russia. Okay. So this is not a fact of them trying to shut down some type of Russian propagandist. This is just them limiting debate. The space for real dissent in the United States is getting smaller and smaller. There's very few real dissenters. Chris Hedges was one of the few. You have like the old guys that's much older, like Noam Chomsky, but the the people that are actually critiquing the establishment, that's critiquing the elite, who are just draining us like vampires. The dollar store is now here in Chicago. The dollar store is now $1.25 store. I hear some places the dollar store is now $1.50 store. Okay, so but they're willing to allow conversation about pretty much everything except the money. They're not really willing to change the way the money is distributed. They're not willing to let anyone discuss how regular people, working class people, are just being drained, and how these billionaires are just vampires. And so when you say, okay, I know there's someone say, well, YouTube is a private platform. The connection between these huge platforms and the government is symbiotic. It's almost the same thing. All right, it's almost the same thing. So that's not really a good argument. The fact is, during this Ukraine war, we're seeing governments taking this opportunity to restrict debate. Now, some of us I know believe that Zelensky is this angel, but even the angel is out there restricting debate. There's people in Ukraine, parties, political parties, dissenters saying, you know what, I'm not working for Russia. I'm not pro-Russia. I'm for Ukraine, but I'm against Zelensky and his politics. And he's using this while he's busy fighting bravely. He's also sparing a little time to restrict debate. That's what's happening also in Ukraine. The guy is fighting a war, but he's also limiting space of people who's been criticizing him before the war. So this is well, we need to know what's going on. Whenever there's a war, you look underneath and you see what's going on. And one of the main things that these governments do, these establishment people do, is while there's a war, okay, the people that's been speaking against the nonsense that they're doing, this parasitical behavior by the elite, they restrict them. All right, so go look out there, go check that story out and read more. You'll find it online. Just type in Chris Hedges. Do I need to continue this video? No, I don't. Have a great day.